Mic check. Okay, everyone, there is a sign-in roster. If you haven't already signed in, please do so. Did you already sign in? And those that are watching online, just remember to complete your homework. I did post the homework input pages or submission pages, and there will be homework tonight as well. And then I will be posting that or putting that homework up online so you can submit it. So either in-house or online, you can submit homework and watch these wonderful membership classes. Okay.
Okay, so are we starting now? It's so good to have all of you here. Thank you for coming. And let's take a deep breath. We know in this moment where we are, God is. Right where we sit, right where we are, all of God is fully present. We give thanks, Spirit, for this time together, this time to learn more about the church. We are grateful. And so it is. Amen. Let's see, do we have an org chart yet? Not yet. Oh, it's coming. Okay, so this church has many moving parts and pieces. There's a board of trustees. There are lots of volunteers. There are volunteers who work in the areas of ushering, greeters, working on the landscaping and the gardens. There are people who volunteer in our front office. There are people who, because this is really the congregation is what makes this place happen. I mean, all of us together. I should say it that way. Thank you. All of us together make this happen. So here is a picture of all of us. Is that going to show up there? Here we go. Well, Where's the little flippy dip thing? The little, I wonder what's happening. The black, yes, yeah. Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's give a hand to Diana and Levitt. They do so much. So here is a way to kind of see how this is set up. Now, I know language and this dimension, it all looks like separation. It's really not. God is throughout all of this. But this is just representing that first and foremost, we're here for God. First and foremost, this is about God. I mean, why else would we be here? So that's where it starts. And you notice right below that is the congregation. That means the congregation holds, if you will, the power to what happens here. The congregation does. The congregation is the one that actually oversees the board of trustees. Yeah, according to this org chart. And the reason it's that way is so that the congregation can determine the direction it wants to go. It's for all of the congregation to be involved. It's not left up to just a few. It's not just left up to the Board of Trustees. They are representatives. They are entrusted by the congregation. Okay? So, the congregation, as I was talking about in the services this morning, would be like the people of India. They're the ones who really can shape and determine the direction that this ministry, this church goes. Then the Board of Trustees work with things like finances, policies, procedures, a lot of the organizational things of the church. Right below, am I pressing the right thing? I have my finger in front of it, no wonder. Right below the Board of Trustees is the senior minister. So the senior minister answers to the Board of Trustees and answers to the congregation and answers to God. Now, first and foremost, I answer to God. But it's very important to me to work in a collaborative relationship with Board of Trustees and with the congregation. Now, what instructs the Board of Trustees is articles of incorporation. And you see this dotted line, it should be more than a dotted line. So when we redo this, maybe this has been redone. This should be more than a dotted line here. It makes it look like Unity Worldwide Ministries is kind of ancillary. They're kind of out there. We're sort of connected, but they can give us advice if they want. That's not how it is. This church is part of Unity Worldwide Ministries. We're part of the brand. Okay? Let's say some local McDonald's decided that they wanted to start, I don't know, just serving sushi. I mean, okay, they just wanted to start serving sushi, and that's all they served. But they still wanted to call themselves McDonald's. The corporate McDonald's might have a word with them about it because it's a brand. And if they don't come into alignment with the brand, they'll be removed as a franchise of McDonald's. That is Unity Worldwide Ministries. We're part of a movement. We're not just independent fly-by-night. We're part of a movement. And there's headquarters, as I said in the first session, in Kansas City at Unity Village. It's its own zip code, its own municipality. So our headquarters are there. And during this time of transition, Unity Worldwide Ministries are in close touch with this ministry, with the board, and with what is going on here. So the articles of incorporation and the bylaws inform how we do business. And then there are also standing committees, finance committee, nominating committee, different kinds of committees that assist the board and assist with the organization and direction of the church. Any questions so far? Does it make sense? We have another mic. Okay. She found it. All right. Good. Okay. So then under this, okay, you see the senior minister oversees the staff. This is where issues can occur. When the Board of Trustees begins to try to do direct supervision of staff, then they're bypassing the way our organization is set up. So these are different heads of different ministries, like the music director, Dan Del Negro. this is a little fuzzy, but Unity School, the preschool director, Sergio Galisa. So I am Sergio's supervisor. I am Dan Del Negro's supervisor. We have someone who assists with our finances, Amy Miyamoto, associate minister and ministry administrator, Johanna Kelly, and Kathy Kaiser, who is the steward of church operations. So, and we have volunteer coordinators, Jade Guess and Francine. They here by any chance? No. Okay. So, which I think it's very, very important to become involved in the community. That's a great way to get to know people. It's a great way to connect. It's a great way to grow spiritually, is service and to get involved. And thank you, Board of Trustees that are here. Debbie Catania and Bonita are here. Thank you for being here. Any other board members present? I don't see any. Okay. So then Dan Del Negro, for example, oversees the band, the band back here, and Zamar, our singers who help us each Sunday with the music. So you can see that, you know, there's a line here. So the associate minister oversees grounds and facilities, custodial care, courtyard cafe, media director, sound engineers, and in the yellow, this is volunteer, Diana Thomas, keynote. And so you can see the things that are overseen. Again, with Kathy Kaiser, steward of church operations, you have ushers, office reception, celebrations, events, ongoing events. So again, when someone wants to have an event, it's important that they go through Kathy Kaiser. There are appropriate lines to go. And when people don't, it creates problems every single time. It's real easy. You just follow the line. So, yes, yeah. Give me just a minute. And so also down here, so we have special events. We also have Unity Wellness, A Course in Miracles, Unity Counseling Center. So we have these various, and over here we have these various ministries, Ho'opono, which is for the homeless, prison ministry and IHS. This is now called Millen, which is an interfaith. So all of this is organized according to lines. And as long as people stay in their lane, things work smoothly. But when you're on the highway and people don't stay in their lane, what happens? Lots of honking, fingers, damage. Right? Okay, Francia.
Okay, could I?
Just hold it right on up here on your chin.
Could you put this slide back on? Because I had trouble as I'm looking at.
Oh, the slide, the org chart. Did we lose it? She's making it bigger, expanding it. Okay, so did you have a question about a specific part?
Yeah, I did. I'm wondering, is this flow chart, I know the people are different and everything, is this the flow chart for every Unity church?
It's a little different in each church,
Okay.
how that's created. Unity Worldwide Ministries has a proposed template, if you will, for bylaws and structure, but each church has its own little flavor. I was using McDonald's earlier.
Right.
So when I go to McDonald's in India, I can get wonderful vegetarian sandwiches and vegetable pakoras. For some reason, they don't serve that here. So it's still McDonald's, but they can change some things based on their culture and the needs of their environment. So there is some leeway. So with our org chart, can we have that back? So our org chart might be a little different than in some places, but for the most part, that's kind of standard for Unity.
Well, I don't know. Just as an outsider, I see a problem.
You're not an outsider.
Well, until I finish the class, okay. But I'm uncomfortable with the minister being under the board. I would, if you're collaborating, I would really like to see it on a same line, and then it to me it's collaboration, and it's not people telling you what to do. It's collaborating, and this looks like it's a down flow. And I could see different duties coming off of each one of the board and you, but this just doesn't feel comfortable to me.
Okay, thank you, Francia. It does create some awkwardness. In Unity Worldwide Ministries, the senior minister is considered to be the CEO. But in most Unity ministries, the CEO, senior minister, answers to the board, which is a little awkward at times if the senior minister is seeing the need to make some changes, and if the board, it can create some interesting dynamics. And so I hear what you're saying. Now, in a really good situation, it's more like there's great collaboration, there's great communication, and so forth. But yeah, it can be a challenge if you have a person who is seeing the need for change, some of which might be upsetting to some board members, and yet they have the power to fire that person. It creates kind of a conflict of interest sort of thing. But I hear what you're saying.
Tim, what is the legal agreement between Unity Worldwide Ministries and Unity Church of Hawaii? Is there an MOU or is there some?
You know, I need to do more research on that, but we're part of their movement, part of that umbrella, part of the brand. And so, like I was sharing about a church that said, a Unity church that said, oh, we're independent. We can do whatever we want. You can't tell us what to do. And UWM, Unity Worldwide Ministries, did its best to work with them, but they refused. And so from the board, UWM board, and from the leadership of UWM, a letter was sent to that church. We love you very much. We support you. We want to be of help to you. And if you cannot come into alignment, you will be removed from Unity Worldwide Ministries. Subsequently, that church, I don't know if it's the same people or if they got rid of some people, but that church began to come into alignment and working with you, Unity Worldwide Ministries, and recently sent us a letter saying, thank you for your support. Thank you. You've helped turn our church around. Here's a large tithe check. So there is some legal power there. Yolanda had her hand up.
Two questions. The first is this org chart available online? Because I'm having trouble reading it.
Yeah, it needs to be updated, but yes.
Okay.
Oh, what?
Okay, everyone. We will be updating the org chart, and then it will be available online for everyone to view and to see exactly how this goes.
Thanks. Yeah. And then my second
more.
question is just, as a preschool parent, I think we were told that Amy was a steward of finance before, but now she has become exclusively the preschool steward of finance.
Okay,
Is that
so
incorrect, or is this just outdated? Or
I'll explain that. So Amy, yes, now works predominantly for the school. And she still does some payroll things, some things for the church side. But yes, Amy predominantly works for the school. So you could move this over here, right? Now, here's the thing. She's still part of this whole line and umbrella. So sometimes Amy comes to me for direction on certain matters that regard the church. So she's kind of in two worlds, but right, I get your point. Yeah, she answers predominantly to Sergio. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. So that gives you sort of an overview of our organization. Oh, okay. So earlier, 2 board members were here, Bonita and Debbie, and now Jan is here. She's a board member as well. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you. Oh, Francine is one of the directors of volunteers. Would you wave, Francine? Okay. Yeah, because volunteering is a very important part of being involved here. Like Doug has been helping us with back in the cave or on the cameras, and we also have some contract workers. So Sean Sweet is back here. He's the director of our live streaming. You want to wave at us, Sean? He does an amazing job. From what I have seen in Unity churches, and I realize that this is being live streamed, isn't it? So, you know, if I hurt anybody's feelings, we can talk about it. But the best live streaming I've seen of any Unity church happens here. And Sean Sweet does a phenomenal job, and the rest of that team. So here are the board of trustees. Joanne Adams, the president, Thomas Gallagher, vice president, Debbie Catania, who is the board secretary, Kathy Whitmire, the treasurer, Bonita Bethards, the assistant treasurer, Jerry Denton, the assistant secretary, Ricky Banning, Jan Fitzgerald, and Richard Hughes. So those 9 people comprise the board, plus the senior minister is automatically a voting member of the board of trustees as well. Okay? Yeah, the staff. That'd be awesome.
Reverend Tim,
Hey, what's up?
I had a question.
You do?
Yeah, this is
Well, I'm glad you came so we can answer your questions.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. I had a question. Normally, at a church this size, what is customarily the number of board of trustees? Really, that one would kind of think would be on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes it's 6. Sometimes it's 9. It depends on the needs of that congregation. And not all boards are put together the same either. For example, Unity in Marin has associate board members. So there are associate board members who, for a year or 2 years, are observing, they're participating in discussions, they do not have a vote. So for 1 to 2 years, they are being trained to work as a trustee of the board, and it gives maybe 2 years to see if they are a good fit or not. there are some churches moving that direction. I tried to get Unity of Wichita to go that direction, but they wouldn't. You know, it felt too untraditional for them, I think. But not a bad thing to keep in mind. You have a follow-up question. I see wheels turning.
No, it's just, yeah. I'm just wondering how we got to 9 when I think a couple of years ago we were at 6. I don't know. I mean, do you know the history of that? Because I haven't been able to uncover that. I don't know if any of the board.
I don't know.
It's always been 9? Okay. Yeah, I think a member like from 25 years ago or 30 years ago said it was at 6 when they were on the board.
It may have been then.
Yeah, so
I don't know. When it's smaller, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's based on size, that number 9?
A lot of times. Yeah.
I was just going to say I was a stand-in board member when I was running, and there were 2 people that get the highest votes, and I was asked by a board or the president saying, okay, you can be a stand-in board member. You come in, you just wouldn't be able to vote. And then just so happened a board member resigned, so the stand-in board member
right. Just stepped in,
and that's how I came about.
Right. Okay, thank you, Benita. That's kind of how associate board members work, so that when there's suddenly an absence, you have someone who's already trained. They're already up to speed as to the information and what's been going on, and they're already vetted. And, you know, so it makes it smoother. Yeah. Okay, so here, staff, John Ahuna, custodial care. Now, the school has its own custodial care. But John works over here on the church side, Dan Del Negro, who is also a licensed Unity teacher candidate. So he's taken a lot of the Unity classes. Okay, here's a change, right? Lisa stepped away on December 2nd. And so we combined church administrator and outreach and marketing and made it also an associate ministry position. So that's Reverend Johanna. And then Kathy Kaiser, church operations, Sean Sweet. So you can see the various folks. John Ward is the counselor. Felix and Eric work together at the Wellness Center, and Amy Miyamoto with the finances. We have wonderful, wonderful staff here. I love the staff here. And as we saw in the org chart, the staff report to the senior minister. What's next? Here are some key volunteer people. It's not all of them. There's a lot of wonderful volunteers here. Reverend Levitt, who is a Unity minister, sitting right over here. And where's Diana? Did they separate you? Did Diana not put in her own picture? Oh, you're way down here. Okay. Diana. And Reverend Margie Hyatt, who is a Unity minister, and Brian Toucheron. You can see a lot of different people who assist and lead, help with music, help in the prayer ministry, help with the classes. We have a lot of classes here. And a lot of these classes are core Unity teachings. So if you want to go into more depth, which I would encourage, going into depth with Unity, take some of those classes. Okay, what's next? I think I'll hand it over to Reverend Johanna. Let's give Reverend Johanna a big hand. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Tim. Well, such insight to this whole process, so thank you. Membership covenant. So right now you may be discerning whether or not you wish to be a member here at Unity Church of Hawaii. It's my personal extension and invitation to you to really keep that in prayer over the next couple of days, a week or so, as Spirit discerns to you what is yours to do. We are a loving community, and I understand that right now we are in the process as a community as a whole of really coming together and putting, really standing on truth and putting our best foot forward. And we invite each and every one of you to really take that stand and to do that. And one of the ways in which we do that, we show this love and commitment to this community, is by becoming a member. And this is the process in which we do it. And you're already taking the first step. The next step in that is you'll interview with Reverend Tim after completing all the homework and everything like that. Having an interview with Reverend Tim where he kind of gives his blessing. I believe that's the way we're going, correct, Reverend? Okay, sounds good. All right. So I'm just making it up as I go, apparently. Gonna have to do it quick, all right? High fives, everybody. You're in. But membership covenant. In the membership covenant, as soon as we get it up, do you have it up, or do you have it ready, Diana? Okay. So what the membership covenant is about is just a commitment, a contract, a sacred contract, really, a contract with this community, just affirming that you will be standing in truth and putting into practice the principles of this community. It's one thing we go to classes or read about it or even talk about it, but until we are about it, we're doing it, the fifth unity principle, then really nothing is happening, if not just backsliding. And the covenant is one of these ways where we're reminded every single year. So each year we must renew our covenant as well. And first time when you become a member, and then yearly after that, of what it is that we are agreeing to. And so the first part of the covenant says, I understand and am aligned with the basic teachings of unity. Now, if that's something at any point in time you feel that, you know what, I no longer align with the teachings, the principles, and the beliefs of unity, you have the right to just say and come to the senior minister or also our secretary, Debbie, to say, you know, I no longer wish to be a member of Unity Church of Hawaii. If at any time it just no longer feels good for you to do, you have that right. You don't have to wait for the yearly membership renewal. Second point is I make my spiritual development and relationship with God a priority in my life. We are here for God and for God only. And the many ways that God shows up in our lives through the community, through our work, through our family. But we're here to be of service to one another, to put any of our own agendas aside, and to work for the better of the community as a whole, for our lives and our family as a whole, utilizing as a unity member these principles, these 5 basic unity principles. And so we make this priority in our life, this spiritual development. The next part, I do my part to support the church's mission of teaching, motivating, empowering, and supporting people in their growth and transformation through the application of spiritual principles. Applying this to everything, whether it's church life or home life or work life. If you apply the principles and the teachings of unity, I promise you, this is my ironclad guarantee, because I know it works. If you do it, it will work for you. You will see wonderful things start to come to fruition. And this is what unity does. It's transformative. You get to see results. The more that you do this, not the more that you read about it or talk about it or hear about it, but the more that you put these principles into action, you will see the manifestations of something new. I join my fellow members and congregants in participating in the creation of a warm and accepting atmosphere where love is felt and lives are changed. People come to church to grieve, to celebrate, to commune. And that's what we are endeavoring to do here, is to be that sacred space that no matter what is happening out there, when you come onto this holy ground, this sacred space, you feel that warmth and that connection with the Most High, with your fellow members and congregants, and with the ministry team here and board here. And so that's what we're all called to do, is when we show up here, to really be of support to one another, to give a listening ear, a high five, handshake, hug, whatever feels appropriate and comfortable for you. But this is the kind of the call of that, because we don't know day to day, week to week, what another person has been through. But when they come here, we hope that they feel supported in their journey, and that they have someone that they can talk to, whether it's a friend, whether it's a minister, or another confidant, or other leader. This is what we as a spiritual community is all about, that growth and that fostering of community. I extend myself with loving warmth to newcomers to my church home and to those people attending whom I do not know. Have you ever showed up in a place and nobody talks to you? It's very uncomfortable. It's very, should I be here? I've been to many places like that where I just want to leave right away. And so we're all asked as members, when you see a new face or somebody who hasn't maybe been around for a while, to go up to them and to warmly greet them. It's really nice to feel that sense of ohana when you're here at this church. And so that's what members are asked to do, to really extend themselves. And sometimes I know have a couple of friends who are introverts, and it's kind of stepping out of their comfort zone. So that's what, we step a little bit out of our comfort zone just to extend a greeting to those that may be new here, and to talk unity up. To really, if it's working for you in your life, really talk to your friends about it. Talk to the newcomers that are here in church about it. Because when one is lifted, if we can provide a good word or a smile to somebody, you never know what somebody's going through that day. But when you can be that light and that love, it can change lives. It can make a difference. And so we're asking you as members or potential members just to be that loving presence whenever you're here on this community, welcoming those that may be new. I include the church in my daily prayer life. Unity is founded and grounded in prayer. And so as members of this church, we invite you to take on a daily prayer practice. That could, I know some people commune for 3 hours, some 5 minutes, some just the thought of the Most High gets them through. But whatever that looks like, include us in your daily prayer practice, in your daily prayers. It does make a difference. Where two or more are gathered, or where two touch and agree, it shall be done. So continue to pray affirmatively for this community, for your own life, and see the wonderful ways in which God manifests, shows up. Okay, I include the church in my financial affairs, giving joyfully and lovingly. Now, if this was a perfect world where we were just bartering for things, then, I'm pretty sure we have a couple of mules on the campus or something like that. But the energy of money, the energy of tithing time and talent, and I don't know if this is going to be covered later on, but as far as the financial affairs, we're told that, 10% is kind of like the ground, or not the breaking ground, but, just the starting point. This mission continues because of your generous donations to it. It helps to support our outreach ministries. It helps to, as we raised the roof a couple of years back, we provided new chapel chairs. Every penny goes back into the community to bless us all. And so give joyfully, give willingly, and continue on just blessing that which you give out, knowing that giving and receiving are one and the same. And so we invite you to either, a weekly tithe or monthly, whatever is comfortable for you. and you'll continue to see the blessings in your own life. And I believe we will be doing a financial prosperity class here soon. Reverend Tim, was that? I think I saw that on some courses to come, and we'll show you the unity principles and how that giving and receiving it just really goes to work wonders and to produce miracles in one's life. And I know that Reverend Levitt has a beautiful story of tithing and how it's really come to be, the staple of who he is, whether it's tithing of his time, talents, and of course, treasures. And I'm sorry, Diana as well. So 2 for 1. Yay. All right. I serve this ministry in the ways I am able, thereby strengthening the whole family while learning the value of selfless service to others. I started out here at Unity. So I came one week. The next week, I was already at the back of the camera. So I was working media the next week with Owen Housen, who used to be our media director. But I really felt that call to service as soon as I got into the community. And the moment that I began being of selfless and in sacred service to this community, I started to see just wonderful things happening in my own life. And it felt so good to just be of service to people and to provide whatever expertise that I had in giving it to this community. And we have many ministries that you can be of sacred service to. Our volunteer coordinators, Jade Guess and Francine, are always here on Sundays to give you ideas of certain or different volunteer opportunities that we have here on this campus, and how we are really helping to, the volunteers are really the core and the labor of this community. Without volunteers, we would not be able to function because we only have a handful of staff, but it's the volunteers that do a lot of the work, from our Saturday morning crew who help to maintain the grounds here, to a lot of our live streaming is mostly volunteers, and front desk help and everything else, and helping the certain board members like the board secretary with different tasks and everything. Without them, the work would be very heavy, but many hands make light work. So you can see Francine or Jade Guess, and they'll give you, they have ideas of ways that you could be on service, utilizing your own talents as well. And if you want to learn a new skill, volunteering is another way to help you build the skills that you wish to acquire as well. I speak with constructive purpose about the church and my fellow congregants. If I experience personal upset with the church or a congregant, I will seek guidance from Spirit, then speak with and resolve any upset with the person or persons involved in accordance with the principles of agreeing and disagreeing in love. And I'll be handing out those principles, or the agreeing and disagreeing in love, here momentarily. But really, what we try to, what we're doing here is not triangulation. If you have a certain upset with a person, first take it to Spirit. I know in the past many times, growing up, I just kind of blurted out, and then there was a lot of gossiping and everything else. The one thing that will ruin a community more than anything else is triangulation, is gossiping. Don't entertain it. If you hear something, if you were not the first-hand eyewitness to it, do not entertain it. Go to the source for the truth. It's always okay to ask somebody for the truth of something. And so during this time, we're asking that members don't entertain any triangulation, any gossip. And so keep yourself clean and clear from that. Be light and free of it. Yes, Marcia.
I always like sharing when something good is. I have this belief something good is going to always happen to me. And I saw a lady back there looking in the back seats. She was here at the 11 o'clock service. She lost her iPhone. And so I asked her to follow me to the office. And we looked in the box, the lost and found box, and it wasn't there. And I said, okay, I want you to leave your name and number because it is going to show up. I pulled open the drawer, and the phone was was there. And so, anyway, someone had found a phone, and they took it to the office, and I just wanted to share that. I am so happy.
Thank you for that good news.
And I need to go here in just a little bit, but I want to let you all know that we love having you here. Whether you're a member or not, being a member is a way of solidifying your connection in this community, a way of really joining in support of this community, and making yourself more a part visibly and in terms of voting and in other ways. So I hope you seriously consider becoming members. I'm about to go, so anything you need from me before I take off? Nope. All right. Thank you. High fives. Okay.
That's all they need, Reverend Tim, is a high five. All right. Blessings. Have fun. All right. Thank you, Reverend Tim. Okay. That's the senior minister, everyone. Aloha. All right. Okay. So I recognize that with agreeing and disagreeing in love. So can I have somebody help hand out the agreeing and disagreeing in love? We're going to have the actual, I had their handouts right there. Yes. Thank you, Marcia. Just hand them all. Yeah. And so we do have kind of like cheat sheets available just in case after you confer with Spirit, you still want to know what is the most loving thing to do, or how you should handle it. We do have agreements here in this community that help govern our actions, and so we do have this available online as well in case you misplace the paper copy here. But agreeing and disagreeing in love, and we'll have it on the slideshow here shortly, is one of the ways that we align with these principles and with this truth in times that may be a bit uneasy. Oh, and I recognize that my presence and participation at the church services and activities is a contribution and a gift that enhances the experience for all. We ask you to show up on Sundays when you are able, to live stream us when you are able, because your presence, your consciousness, you make a difference in this community. You add the flavor to this community. Can you imagine a beef stew with only beef in it? No, you have the carrots, and you have the sauce, and you have the celery and the different spices and everything. And that's what makes Unity Church of Hawaii, that's what makes this unity movement so spectacular, because we are very flavorful. No two unities look alike, because we have congregations everywhere from Nigeria to, I believe, the Philippines to here in the U.S. Everyone looks and feels different, but we all have the same guiding principles. And your consciousness, your presence, helps to make and add to that unique flavor of this community. So we invite you, when you can, when you are able, to either live stream us or to come to service. I love seeing all your bright, beautiful faces. Each one of us do that serve here on Sundays and throughout the week. You do bring a smile to our face, and makes it all worth it when we're either singing up there or speaking up there or whatever, to see a smile from somebody or to a nod. It kind of adds to it. So please continue on supporting us in ways that you can. And then together with my fellow members and congregants, I am co-creating with God the ongoing dynamic life of Unity Church of Hawaii. I recognize that together we help to keep its doors open and expand its programs and services, thereby blessing and serving thousands of others like myself through membership in Unity. I honor the God in me and the God at work through Unity Church of Hawaii. And so we are co-creators in all of this. It's just not Johanna. It's just not Reverend Tim or Debbie. It's all of us together that are co-creating this experience. And so we are asked as members to really own up to it, to, what was the word that we were using earlier this week? The buy-in. And so we're all asked to kind of, if this is a community that you would love to grow in, love to grow your family in, your friends in, then the buy-in is the membership and the showing up. We are co-creators here, and we're co-creating this beautiful community to be a blessing, not only to ourselves, not only to this immediate community, but to the world as a whole. And so join us in that collective consciousness as we rise together in this. And we can't sign the screen, so we're good. But in the end, you would sign the piece of paper, and yeah, we're good. So agreeing and disagreeing in love. So these are commitments of Unity Church. Oh, go ahead. Oh.
I guess I was just wondering, how personalized is this covenant for us versus like a standard one that Unity Worldwide just tells its churches to use? I assume that all Unity churches require this membership covenant. I guess that's my first question. And then secondly, I assume this is pretty standard, or how much has it been personalized? And then my third question is, if you don't do these things, do you get kicked out? I guess.
Okay, so for Unity Church of Hawaii, the covenant has actually gone through many renditions, and so it is personalized for this. I believe that Unity Worldwide Ministries does have a standard template, but over the years, especially since I've been here, we have tweaked it a bit to really reflect the needs of this community as well. So it is personalized to this community. Second, or maybe that's okay, 1 and 2, so answered both of those. And then what happens if someone is out of alignment with this? Okay, well, let me give the politically correct answer on this. So we have this policy that was adopted back in February of 2016. It's a little known policy, but it's called the disruptive behavior policy, but it talks about the covenant and everything like that and what happens. So what's supposed to happen is, depending on if it's a member or what have you, if they're out of alignment with it, they would meet with the senior minister, the board president, and really discuss, where it is that they are in their development and really on this path. In the past, we've done it a little bit differently. And so I think that the board will be looking at that when they look at the bylaws, because in our bylaws, Debbie, if I'm correct, it does kind of address something where if a member is out of alignment, then they will speak to the board of trustees and the senior minister. The senior minister? Okay, so not board of trustees, senior minister. Okay, so in the bylaws, it says senior minister. And then from there, I believe the senior minister would give his or her appropriate actions, but I'm not sure if it's contingent on agreement of the board of trustees. So I can look into that and get you more, but it does address it maybe somewhat vaguely and not so specifically to different things that arise. But I know that we are looking at a bylaws review to really, and then also one thing that we do as a congregation is making sure that there's accountability. So one thing that is really desired in any spiritual community that we can work better at is accountability for those members that seem to maybe need better clarification or direction at how to be in alignment with the principles and the covenant.
Hello? Oh, okay, thank you. One other question. Unity School, the preschool, there are probably, 80 families that are a part of that, yet we're not members unless you actively join and become a member. We're not congregants who come to the church unless you come to the church. So I guess, how do the documents view the parents, I guess, considering it's just a large number of people who are kind of related to the ministry or one of the ministries. And feel free to tell me that we can talk about this later, because I know this is not part of the new member stuff. But
so next week we will have a town hall meeting. So on, I believe it is January 27th at 1 p.m. here in the chapel, there will be a town hall meeting. And I would say that would be the best venue to bring up your concerns. I know that the board is working on some type of committee, a parent committee, and that they'll be discussing in the near future. But I think in the past, because there was a little bit of disconnect or confusion as to, is Unity School separate or together? Well, they fall underneath the 501c3 of Unity Church of Hawaii. And now that there's more focus on that, I would think that this is the best time for parents, whether or not they're members or not, or congregants or not, to really, stand and say, no taxation without representation, really. And that's something that you can bring to the town hall on Sunday of next week. Yes, Diana?
I just wanted to say that I was reading this because I am going to be taking this into prayer about signing the covenant. And it says, I will abide by the essence and spirit of Unity Church of Hawaii as summarized above. So I don't see it as saying that it's written in stone, but, I will be abiding by the essence and spirit. So I think there's a lot of forgiveness in that.
Right. There's kind of, room for interpretation, room for a lot of forgiveness. And really, if we're all doing what what we have been called to do, if we're all called to this community to be of service, because normally you would think, okay, why does somebody come to church? Well, to heal, to this, to that. And then once we feel, and it's really something that takes integrity within. If there's still a lot of hurt or pain that somebody who's a member may be experiencing, then maybe a leadership position isn't the best thing at that time. Not to say that never, forevermore, but right now there may be more internal work, more forgiveness that is needed to be done on an individual level. That's why just signing a covenant and then waiting a year and then saying, hey, I want to be on the board may not be the best thing to do, because there may still be some inner healing that is needed. I don't know if I gave this example last week, but, I don't go to my dentist for chiropractic work. My chiropractor is great, my dentist is great, but I never confuse the two. So just because one is good in one area doesn't mean that it's, that physician or what have you is going to be good in all areas or what. And so it's just one of those things is, as we look to leaders and as members of this church, within, after a year of being a member, you are eligible to be on the board. And that's where this personal integrity comes into play. Really checking your heart and seeing where your intentions are. Is it about selfless service, or is it about self-service? Is it about pushing my agenda, or is it saying, this is, my spiritual home, this is my ohana, my community, I want the best of it. God, how would you use me in this? Johanna may have ideas of where she believes this community should go, what it should look like and feel like. And then I have to throw that away. I know that the best one to check in with, and that knows all things and does all things through, in, and as me, is within me. And so sometimes, a lot of times, things show up a little bit differently than I thought they would, or I'm on a path a little bit different than I thought I'd be on, because I'm not after my own gratification or glorification. And as members, we're looked to check into our hearts and check our intentions when we're going up for leadership positions like this. To really feel that call to service, because it is a big deal to serve on a board or to serve on a committee. These actions, my actions, can make a difference, do make a difference, but whether positive or negative in this community. And to really check in and see where my heart is. If it's filled with fear or resentment, or it has to be my way or no way, then I need to stand down and say, okay, I need a time of cooling off and of checking into spirit again, because I promise you, God is not the author of chaos, confusion, or catastrophe. And if you see that showing up, then we know that it's not being spirit-led, and rather maybe egocentric or personality-centric. No matter where it is, whether it's at this church, whether it's at the McDonald's down the street or whatever, if it don't look good, if it don't taste good, then know that it's probably not the best for us. But we can make a difference when we show up authentically, when we show up and say, how would you use me? Not, oh, I want to do this and I want to, I have my own ideas. It's great to have ideas of where this community should go, but always pray in about that and always just present it. And having an attachment to a certain outcome will only feel a little rough in the end. If I had an attachment to every type of outcome that I thought was going to happen, then I'd be mighty hurt and crying at this point. So just really being open and willing to be guided by Spirit. And even if it doesn't look like anything that you would do, just know that there is one that knows and is guiding, that can see all things. And so things that we don't have any awareness of yet, but it will come or become apparent to us. And so entrust in that. And that's where these spiritual practices come into play. The more that we meditate, the more that we pray and commune, we start to get the ears to hear and the eyes to see. And that's where we're talking about with metaphysical. Meta meaning above and beyond the physical, this physical realm. Once we start tapping into that, you'll start to hear that inner voice guiding you. You won't mistake it for something else. It'll feel good. It'll feel non-resistant. It'll feel like peace. And one thing, go where the peace is. Do the most peaceful thing for a situation. And the most peaceful may not be the most pleasant. Sometimes you may have to tell somebody, no, that is not okay. Sometimes I know with my, 3-year-olds, I love you, and yet I'm not going to allow you to touch that hot stove. So the most loving thing may not be always the most pleasant thing. So, all right, agreeing and disagreeing in love. So these are our commitments, and I'm sure most of you had time to read them over. For our church, the congregants, in times of disagreement. Now, disagreement does not mean bad. Disagreements actually can help foster ideas and grow communities. When we have one or two, or more than 2 people in any place, we're going to have a plethora of different ideas. And depending on the attachment to these ideas, you may have some disagreement. And so I may have a certain vantage point, a little bit different than you, a different vision. Doesn't mean that mine is better or yours is better. When we can find a commonality, when we can find, well, what is in the highest and best for this community? But oftentimes, as we've seen in the past, in our own lives or what have you, or in this community, we see that there are disagreements on how things should be done. So what we ask is that people look over our agreeing and disagreeing in love. And first thing it says is in thought, accept conflict. Acknowledge that conflict is a normal part of life in the church. The same people that show up to work are the same people that show up to church. All right? These are the same. I mean, it's just, it's the same people. And so suddenly when people, step foot on the grounds of the church, suddenly they don't transcend anything. Not from my experience. It would take a lot of work, and it does take a lot of work to just be that loving presence. So in a church, there is conflict. And I was under the illusion when I first started working at a church that it was all, butterflies and roses. I honestly thought that was the place that I was going to feel the most at peace and, the most loving. And oftentimes it's been my biggest lesson and my biggest blessing as well. So it says, affirm the truth. Endeavor to see conflict as symptomatic of what's missing in our intention to create an authentic community. Peacemaking is creating a pathway to God. And so when you follow peace, know that God is the giver of that peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding, as we read in Scripture. So we seek peace through things. It doesn't mean that we give up or we become victims or we allow people to, or we're doormats or something like that. But it's objectively looking at things and seeing where the peace lies, seeing where maybe there is a compromise, that it doesn't always have to be our way or the highway. But we're always affirming the truth, and that sometimes these things come up because there is a missing piece. There's something that more is needed. And commit to prayer. Examine where we are coming from and release our need to be right. Being right and being happy are two different things. I would rather be happy than be right. Yeah, that's the thing. And I know I've asked certain family members, well, would you rather be right or happy? And the first thing they want to be is right. But I promise you, they're not the same thing. When you're happy, everything is included. When you're joy-filled, when you're at peace, all things are working together for your good. But when you're right, some things may not be still in alignment with the highest good for yourself or others. And, many a times, I thought I was, I wanted to be right. But in the end, really what I was seeking was peace and happiness. Acknowledge all parties have needs and pray for win-win solutions. No prayers for my success or for the others to change. We don't need to change people. Accept people for where they're at in their own spiritual development, in their own maturity. I'm not here to say, Debbie, you know what? Yesterday when you did this and that, and I'm just arguing with myself at this point. There's a thing in Unity, we say, you see it, you got it. So I'm not here to change who you are. I'm here to love you where you're at and to foster, if you're willing to allow me to, the spiritual maturity, and for you to foster my spiritual maturity. I'm not higher, you're not higher. We're all on the same plane. And the moment that I start to put myself on a pedestal or to place you on the pedestal and make you the idol of something, then something's bound to fail. Realize that within each one of us, there is that spark of divinity. And I don't need to go out there changing somebody else in order to produce results that I feel are right in my life. That I can accept people where they're at, even if they show up unloving. You can still love them anyway. You don't have to give your power to somebody else. Keep your power with you. Whenever we resent someone, whenever we badmouth someone or what have you, we're actually giving our power away. We're saying that there's something in someone out there that can change us, that can make us feel a certain way. When we rise out of victim mentality, we realize that the peace that exists within is not given by outward circumstances or individuals, that is maintained and held here. And we can keep and hold on to it. Okay, in action, go to the other. Go directly to those with whom we disagree. Avoid behind the back criticism. Refrain from engaging in parking lot conversations. Have you ever been inside after a meeting? Suddenly the parking lot is filled with different groups of individuals everywhere, each one of them having a spirited conversation about what just took place. Everybody's got a different opinion, and we're called to not do that. For any positive action to occur in a community, there has to be one voice. There has to be one intent or intention. And we're called to that. We're called to that intention. When it feels, or if you see an individual stepping out into this power, that's starting to formulate different things or different groups, try to refrain from that. Try to center back in and not engage in those parking lot conversations. If there's something arising within you regarding somebody else, go to that individual. Explain what is happening for you within. And we'll also, I'm going to give you a nonviolent communication handout here in a bit, because we will be having an NVC, a nonviolent communication class here within the next month. And so we'll be getting together with Unity of Windward Unity, and we'll be facilitating a joint class with their community and this community. And nonviolent communication will give you wonderful tools to see most people that you see that are showing up that are out of alignment with, or maybe causing some angst within you, or I can't even say maybe, that you are allowing some angst to arise in you over. There's certain tools that you can use to bring that back in, to really honor yourself. The more that we project it onto somebody else, or you upset me, you caused me to be angry, that's giving away our power again. When we can take it back and realize that it doesn't have to leave us in regards to this power, that there's a certain need that arises within us that we feel hasn't been met. And when we can communicate this need with an individual, and these are basic needs like safety, like love. Usually when something arises in a community, it's because we feel that one of those things, we're missing one of those things. And so when we can communicate in effective language, in nonviolent language with another, and just really break it down to the simplest of terms, more often than not, a resolution, a positive resolution is the outcome. And so we'll have one of those classes here very soon to get the congregation engaged in having this nonviolent communication with one another. All right, in the spirit of humility, go in gentleness, patience, and in humility. Own our part in the conflict instead of blaming others and acting as if the others are responsible for how we are. I think that works a lot in marriages as well. So these are good ideas for not only church relationships, but relationships as a whole. So we can go in gentleness, and this is what nonviolent communication will help to do as well. It will bring a new set of language to you, a new form of communication that will help you to effectively navigate the many personalities that show up. And you'll feel empowered that way. You'll realize that no one has the power to do anything against or for you even. That there is no one. What is that saying go, Reverend Levitt? There's no one... there's no one and nothing against you. And when you start to really think about these things, something clicks in your mind and says, aha, that is correct. And so that's when you'll start to just stand strong and firm in your position and in your power without having to make the other person wrong and without having maybe a violent outcome to it. Okay, be quick to listen. One of my mentors said to me, you know what, Johanna? Be quick to listen and slow to speak. That was their number one thing. And so that's advice that I give to people if I truly want to be helpful to them, is to be quick to listen. Someone is trying to say something, and oftentimes in this world, we don't feel that our voice has been heard or our message. Be the listener. Oftentimes, in the past, I felt that I had the most important message to say, or I wanted to talk over somebody and get whatever I needed to say into the conversation, just so I wouldn't forget or what have you. But be quick to listen instead. Give them the patient ear. A lot of the times, people are just looking for a listening ear, looking to be heard. Make sure to listen carefully and to summarize and check out that it's being heard, the responding. Look for these visual cues within individuals that they've understood. You can summarize, or you can have them summarize exactly what it is that you spoke to them so that you're all on the same page. I've had plenty of conversations where I've said something to individuals only for them to have understood me completely different, sometimes in the exact opposite of what I said. So if you can get an agreement with somebody in a conversation that will start summarizing points of the other person, and then if it's not exactly what I intended to say, I can give that point to you again. You summarize it again for me, and okay, it sounds exactly what I was attempting to say. So when we can listen to that, and we can seek to understand first, we'll see that a lot of the conflict is in the miscommunication or in this trying to be heard first. And we can just be patient with it. We'll see something beautiful unfold in that conversation. Be willing to negotiate. Yeah. All right. Work through the disagreement constructively. Identify issues, interests, and the needs of others rather than take positions. We kind of went over this. This is really a nonviolent communication where we're just listening to the needs, because really it's just a needs. I have a need for something that I feel that you can provide to me, and yet you're not doing it. And really, this nonviolent communication, sometimes we've made agreements with people without their saying yes to it. Oftentimes we do see that in marriage or in parent-child relationships, or with minister and congregant relationships. And nonviolent communication will show us a different way of evaluating these relationships and realizing that we've sometimes placed a burden on somebody that, first of all, they might not be willing to fulfill or even able to fulfill. Okay. So in life, be steadfast in love. Be firm in our commitment to seek a mutual solution. Really being right, if you could just throw that out the door, rather take up being joy-filled, being at peace, and being happy. That is the win-win. When we can find that, we're both parties. It might not always occur, but the closer we can get to that middle line, instead of, oh, I'm right, I win, sorry for you. When we can get to something different instead, then you'll start to see different results. And be open to peacemaking. Be open to accept skilled help. There are people that actually get paid, that have gone to school to facilitate peaceful agreements and to work out things peacefully. And the more that we take that responsibility off of ourselves, I'm not as skilled as the person that's went to Harvard and has done 10,000 different seminars on whatever it is. But you know what? I bet you I can hire that person to come and work and to facilitate. We can look at other agencies instead of expecting ourselves to be, if something is so big, we don't have to do all the work ourselves. There are people out there as well. And so wonderful gifts and talents out there. And we should always circulate that. They went to school for a reason. They're skilled at it. And we can always, if we value this community or let's say a relationship or what have you, bringing in outside help does not point to weakness. It actually points to the desire to grow stronger. All right. What's next, Reverend Levitt? There's a lot of commitments, aren't there? Okay, agreeing and disagreeing in love. Trust the community. Trust the wisdom of the community. If we cannot reach an agreement or experience reconciliation, we will turn the decision over to the congregation or seek assistance from the Ministry for Peacekeeping. And that's where I believe we are going to right now, is that we are looking for reconciliation, for healing. And so, but we're also looking for the congregation to step up, to stand up, and to show up. And so, and that includes you if you wanted to include you. Each one of us, like I said, makes a difference. And so bring your beautiful selves to join in on the discussion. Become active, whether it's volunteering for a ministry or on a team and eventually on a community. There are many resources and brilliant minds within this community. And so we invite each one of you to be part of that. Whoa, there's a lot of kids. Okay. Be the expression of the Christ. You know, Reverend Tim says, you got to be the Christ. Well, what does that mean? That means show up as love, as loving as you can. Sometimes when I think about this, there's a book I read about, it's called Radical Forgiveness. And there's a story in the very beginning, if you read it, and I'll just summarize it a bit. But this individual is having a difficult time. But then he imagined that the soul of this other person loved him so much that was willing to show, because we're all light, we're all the Christ. And sometimes when it's hard to see somebody like that, just imagine the soul of this person showing up so much, or showing up, they love you so much that they were willing to play the bad guy, let's say, if there's good versus bad, but play this role in your life that was going to actually help you to evolve, help you to rise. But sometimes there's a little bit of friction. You know about the rubber band when you pull it back, but then once there's enough tension there, then you spring forward. And there's that rubber band providing you that tension. And if you can see that as an act of love, you don't have to give a rise to every personality that shows up that looks like it's in opposition to you. You can be that presence of peace. You can see, well, what are the gifts here? What can I learn? How can I fully get all the lessons out of this without causing damage to that individual or myself? Because sometimes words can be damaging, or even our thoughts. We're taught that thoughts are things. And, the thought that we hold on produces or externalizes itself. If we can make it a spiritual exercise, if we can just go back to a loving thought and say, God, give me the lesson, give me the peace of this, and peace, P-E-A-C-E, of this situation. And you'll see certain things pop up instead. Where there once used to be, let's say, a boil, now is something that has kind of dissolved and is clear and clean. So ask for the peace of something. Ask for the lesson. Where is my blessing? Demand your blessing out of a situation. Even if there looks like there's nothing there to be blessed with, there is always a blessing for you. All things are working together for your good. And at times, a little bit of friction is not too bad. We get beautiful things from a little bit of friction. All right. Aloha, or was I supposed to sing that? No. Okay. Okay. So tonight's homework assignment. So there are 3 homework assignments, and I'll have it online for you to submit. First of all, if you haven't done so already, has everybody called Silent Unity? Okay. So I want to just go over, maybe if anybody is willing to share what you felt about the affirmative prayer that Silent Unity provided you over the course of the week. You don't have to tell the rest of the class the details or anything, but what did you sense? Were you at peace afterwards, or was there like, I wish something else was given, what have you? What's your honest feedback on your experience with calling into Silent Unity? Anybody want to share?
Hello. I called, and it was wonderful. It was a very peaceful experience, and I was surprised that in addition to being given an affirmation, I was sent an email as well, and so that kind of summarized the points that were brought up in the prayer, and it was wonderful.
Would you call them again? Okay, good. Anyone else want to share of their experience in calling Silent Unity? Okay, you don't have to. So yeah, oftentimes if you request, they'll send you the prayer or follow-up and everything via email. Or if you don't have email, they'll even write as well. So they still use the old typewriter paper, not the old typewriter paper, but they utilize United States Postal Service as well. So it is a wonderful experience. And if you ever find yourself in prayer support or need a prayer support, late night, something you can't get a hold of a chaplain or what have you, or a prayer partner, call 1-800-NOW-PRAY. And there is somebody there 24/7, 365 waiting and willing to hold the high watch with you during your time for prayer. And so, and to hold your, to be there, stepping foot or hand in, stepping foot in foot with you, hand in hand through that process. Now for the no, lessons in truth. How many people did the lessons in truth? Just pick a random chapter and read about it, whichever one. Did you want to share your experience with it? Was there anything that just didn't feel right or you would like some clarification on? Because being new to New Thought, sometimes these ideas can be quite startling. It can go against everything that we've been taught as children, and it requires a new thought. So, oh, okay, good. All right. So it felt good to you, and you know that you can apply these principles and what you read in that lesson to your life. Do you find that it might be easy, or can you see yourself easily applying what you've learned? You don't know, okay. Well, so the homework was for class number 2 was to read Lessons in Truth. Just one chapter in Lessons in Truth. Pick any chapter and to write about, summarize it, what you've learned and everything, and write how you would utilize it in your life, applying these principles to your life. So that's for class number 2. Now, class number 3. So this will require a bit of your imagination. So what I'm looking for and what Reverend Tim's looking for is, where do you see if you planned on being a member, just staying a congregant, the positive areas that you can show up personally to be a blessing, not only in your own life, but to the life of this community. So start visioning ways that you feel called to this community. It might just be for Sunday service. I feel called to sit and listen to worship services on Sunday, and or it could be stepping into, I'm really good at A, B, C, D, and I would love to see a new ministry supporting the skill set I have and teaching others how to do that. It might be starting a new parent-teacher something within the community, or it could be starting a ministry that you see that we could benefit from as a community. Whatever way, or you have a certain skill set such as fixing pipes, and I can fix any pipe that breaks around on the campus, our campus, cancel. And, I show up doing that and helping to foster a green community that way. So whatever ways, write, a paragraph or so of ways that you feel as a member you can contribute, or as a congregant you can contribute to the growth or new growth if you have a new ministry in mind here at Unity Church of Hawaii, in ways that you will show up as that positive difference, as that Christ light within the community. Okay? Are there any other questions for that? And I will have the new org chart on the website under membership resources in several different places, so you won't miss it as soon as it's done updating, and that should be no later than Tuesday afternoon. So you'll see the org chart then, the new and improved org chart. All right, everyone. I think our time is complete. Oh, wait, Bonita has a question. Yeah, this is the last class. So if you haven't signed in, I believe everybody's already signed in. I do have, let me see. Oh, yeah, nonviolent communication. So we're going to pass these out real quick. With this. So here is, if you can pass this out. And it's just an overview of nonviolent communication. And I believe there's another handout here. This one is a high road endeavor. And so it's just another way that we show up here, another resource that we have. And these are all available online, minus the NVC. I don't believe it is, but I can put that on there. Yes. So the covenant. So what will happen is you turn in you have to turn in all homework. You have to watch all three, or be present, have signed in for all three. And then at that point in time, we'll have some slotting available for Reverend Tim when he's available here. Oh, okay. So you're going to call Kathy Kaiser at area code 808-735-4436. But before you call her, we're going to have dates and times that are going to be available. And so when we'll have a calendar available for that. And then whichever one that you see is still open, you just call in Kathy Kaiser, and we'll have that available online starting Tuesday. Okay, it'll be right on the membership page, right where you can see the live, or not these classes, where these classes are embedded, and we'll have a calendar of open slots for Reverend Tim to speak with you and talk about membership here. And there'll be about 15 minutes each, or telephone conversation. You can either submit the final homework online, or you can bring it online to that meeting, or you can bring it to Reverend Tim's office at that meeting. Okay, so either one works. Okay.
For online people who are interested in doing membership, they can do live stream or...
Okay, so those that want to be online members, which have the same voting rights as our in-person membership, you would still have to speak with Reverend Tim via telephone. So, and you can speak with Reverend Tim via telephone. It can be just a telephone conversation as well. I know that many of you have busy lives and careers and everything else, and so that might not be possible to take off 15 minutes out of the day and come out here and do that. But so there is the opportunity to have that time slot be a telephone time slot, especially those that are in different areas of the world. We don't expect you to fly out here just to meet with Reverend Tim for that 15 minutes. So by phone or in person, either one works, and all are welcome. Any other questions? And I'll have a way to submit online for today's homework posted, I'm hoping by tonight, but no later than tomorrow. So I just need to get into my computer and type up the form or encode it and everything like that. So, and everything that you need for membership will be available online. And then also, we will have a membership induction ceremony. It's going to be sometime, I believe it's going to be the second Sunday in February, but there is an official membership induction. If you're unable to make it, that's okay. It's just a way to formally introduce you to the congregation as new members and to kind of solidify your commitment to the community, if you'd like. Okay, so more information, everything will be available on that membership page, all that information. All right. So I think we're coming to a close. So let's say a closing prayer to bring our minds and hearts all and centered in that oneness that we all share. So just closing the outer eye and just breathing in deep through the nose and exhaling fully. And we just say, Father, Mother, God, Blessed Spirit, thank you for this opportunity of like hearts and minds to come together to share in this experience. We affirm that we are here for God and for God only, because that we always know that God is in charge. May we continue on this path as faithful servants, doing the work that you would have us to do, saying the words that you would have us say, allowing the highest of thoughts to manifest for our own lives and for the life of this community. We give thanks for this time together, and it is in the likeness and nature of the Christ that abides within us and each one in this community that we pray. And so it is. Amen. All right, everyone, have a blessed remainder of your Sunday. Enjoy your MLK Jr. holiday if you can, and we will see you back here Sunday. Oh, also there is a board meeting this this Thursday at 6 p.m. in room 201. So now it's not a Q&A session. It is about the business of the church, but you can just sit in on it if you like and just see just how things go in that board meeting. And yeah, so we invite you. It's an open session. So please, 6 p.m. Thursday, room 201. All are invited to attend. Mahalo.